James is really gonna think that I was just a sit-in that one day, and I really don't exist.
Huh. I don't know why my camera's not working.
You
So,
probably don't exist.
I probably don't. You're right. Are we live?
hello, Glenn. I think we're live.
I'm checking.
Out of everybody, why would you just say hello to Glenn? Shook and James are both here too.
Oh, hey, shoot. Well,
Yes, we're live.
Yes, we're live.
well, Shook
Well,
and James didn't mention me specifically, but thank you, Glenn. It's a nice wake up.
welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. Happy Monday morning. Hopefully all of y'all didn't stay up too late watching the Super Bud or something. Something happened last night. People were excited.
Because Denver was
I
there.
have no idea.
Denver did win. Score one for legalized marijuana.
I don't know about that, but we'll
That
see.
doesn't mean they.
It's true. They said potheads were lazy. They said they never accomplish anything. And look at that. They won the Super Bowl.
I mean, I know Peyton
That was
has
during
had some
our morning.
injuries, but I don't think he smokes. But
I wish it was during our morning.
So, Glenn and I actually talked a whole bunch in the chat. What was that? Saturday, Friday night, Sunday night, some point. Talking about what RTM Tech had posted about his repairing hard drives, and apparently Glenn does some as well. I think he said he has over 1,000 hard drives ready for just replacing boards of hard drives that may go bad. So that's pretty cool. RTM Tech actually goes in and like replaces platters and heads, and Glenn said he used to do a little bit of that, but that was for a job of past, I believe he said. So that was pretty cool. I never got into that. The most we ever tried was replacing the board on the back if it went, and if we had an extra one laying around.
yeah, we never did a whole lot of that, but that would be the absolute best. Never did a platter, and I'd love to hear some experiences about that. Actually, I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, Glenn used to do it for a place, he said, and RTM Tech was actually working on one where he was fixing a hard drive and replacing something. But I don't know if it ended up working or not or something like that. So I don't know. He's not in yet, so maybe he'll tell us when he joins later.
I have some exciting news for the weekend.
Okay,
You pregnant?
go ahead.
No, that wouldn't be exciting.
Okay,
Um,
sorry.
my mouse had her babies.
Oh God, those are quick. Wow, they reproduce fast. Wow.
They do. They'll
Yeah.
actually be ready to reproduce like with after 2 days, was it, of having
Oh, that
3 days
sounds
of having the babies?
So
They're
like
able to get.
today.
torturesome.
So like today they could get pregnant again. But I'm gonna give her a break. Let her be mommy. And
That's nice. Don't put her back to work just yet.
and it's really weird though, because I have two females together,
Oh,
and
do they
the
spontaneously
other,
switch genders?
no,
Oh,
the other one is still pregnant, and the one that just had babies, and they take turns nursing the babies.
wait. So the other one previously been pregnant or something?
No, she's pregnant right now.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's kind of cool
They
and
take
weird and
turns being mommy,
huh. That's neat, I guess.
and like the one that didn't have babies, like covers up the babies with the wood chips and stuff that are in the cage. It's so cute.
I learned something new. Thank you for sharing that, Johnny. Wow, the animal kingdom's beautiful.
And somebody was like, um, oh, did you name them? I was like, you don't name food. That would be mean.
Yeah, well, I don't know. After they get pregnant and have a litter, though, that sort of seems worthy of a name.
No, no, no. I named the mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mom is my pet.
Oh, but
She
you're not
need
gonna name the kids? Oh, geez,
No.
that's getting. Oh,
she needs to put him back to work because this snake is hungry.
We just
He ate.
we,
We got the our mouse supplier only had juveniles, so they were smaller than the ones we were feeding them, about half the size. And last time we had given them 5, Johnny says. I thought it was 4.
it was fine.
But this time we ended up giving them 8.
wow.
We ate 8 mice in one sitting.
Oh my God.
And that's how many babies we have, so this thing.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
That is how many. Michael, do you eat meat?
It's free food.
I do, but
Right out.
you're talking about the mice
no
like they're little
different.
children, and I just think of little babies getting
We're
eaten.
not giving him the little children. We're letting them grow up.
Yeah, that wouldn't even be a snack for them. They
So
get a rich,
you're
full
just
life.
pumping them up to be fodder to food.
Yeah, they get a rich, full life. They got a mouse wheel and a playground, and
I'll play with them every now and then and let them feel loved.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right. Just don't film the eating process.
I did film it. What do you
it's fun. We also talked about Shuk and I talked about deploying MSI or EXEs over GOP, and I suggested
GPO.
Yeah, whatever.
Not the Republican Party.
Yeah, I suggested PDQ Deploy since a lot of our clients have had good success deploying crypto prevent with that. And he said he had looked at it, but he wanted to keep everything in GPO. And I was like, well, I know it's pretty difficult from what I looked at deploying EXE with it. Heck, it's actually difficult deploying an MSI with it, and that's what it's made to do. So highly recommend PDQ Deploy, and it looks like Glenn downloaded it, and I'll go ahead and throw the link out here.
And to remind everyone, it's a paid product. It's not free, but they do let you do a free. They do let you do a few deployments freely with it. I can't remember exactly how many it is, but you can for those smaller shops out there who want a solution for deploying crypto prevent one-off, and just need something to get the job done. It'll do it even in the free version. Just FYI.
Yeah, and I knew it was a paid at some point. I didn't know what the specifics on it were, but another thing Glenn and I talked about was he has a issue with a UFEI safe boot machine that we were kind of talking about on Friday as well, and he's having an issue getting into the user, and at that point, Michael, am I wrong on assuming that once it boots the OS, it's already past the UFEI stuff and it's onto the
Well, I mean,
OS
just
point?
like the BIOS, I mean, the operating system can talk to UEFI, but as far as the boot process is concerned, and things like secure boot and things that would, restrict something, yeah, once. Like usual, the operating system typically takes control once it.
Yeah. So if it's loading the OS, it's a problem in the OS not allowing a user login. It's not a problem with the safe boot UFEI stuff.
Now, I'd love for somebody to produce something contradictory to that, but that's the way I understand it. So.
Yeah, that's what I had assumed as
now
well.
my camera's working. What is this?
Okay. Yeah. Maybe it just took Nick coming in and turning his camera on.
Apparently.
6 years.
That's weird.
Yeah, he did have an issue trying to load a Cronus Live CD to make a clone of it, and that's where I was thinking it would probably be the UFEI safe boot stuff. That has to be off so that he can boot into the Acronis Live and then make a clone of it. Because that's essentially a safe boot is just making sure it's the OS that was loaded on it loads in. And is it just Microsoft that adheres to that, or?
Yeah, as far as I know, the only that's the other point of concern with the whole reasoning for them doing this is I know they claim security, of course, but who else does this? Did the Linux community decide to implement a secure boot infrastructure overnight in some way to for them? No, I think it would be more of
I haven't seen anything come up with it, so. And Glenn said that the PDQ deploy looks cool what he's tried so far, so awesome. Let us know if you come up with anything interesting you used it for. Yeah, I think it's kind of weird that the only secure boot, like the only reason secure boot there is to make sure that you boot into your Windows OS. I actually kind of dislike that because it makes it so difficult to use any of my boot utilities or tools that I use otherwise, or to boot into Linux and stuff.
And it's an easy thing to say that, oh, well, Microsoft supports everybody because you can turn it on and off in the BIOS. It's an optional thing in the BIOS. But what that doesn't cover is the fact that manufacturers, in order to be Windows 10 or whatever, Windows 8 compliant, has to enable secure boot in the BIOS. So they are kind of forcing the manufacturer's hands to turn that option on. And then once it's turned on, you won't be able to boot into Windows if you turn it back off again without reinstalling Windows. And so, this creates drastic consequences for somebody trying to switch or even just try out another operating system, even temporarily. So
when I turn it off on my Surface boot screen turns all red and nasty, like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this.
Oh, and that's even worse. Now, I'm thankful I don't have a machine that does that, and most stuff doesn't outside of Microsoft, I believe. But they could, do something like that to indicate that, oh, your security is minimized, but it's debatable. Show me a situation, in other words, Microsoft, where secure boot prevented some infection from somebody. I want to see that, because I never saw the problem that you're trying to fix ever really be a case. I understand that somebody could put an operating system with malicious code on your computer, but you got to take some steps to make that happen,
And all of the like Lenovo and Toshiba or Lenovo malware, at least, isn't that in UFEI BIOS?
Yeah. And so Microsoft, there's another mechanism by which Windows itself can call code in the BIOS, in the UEFI BIOS. And what's bad about that is Microsoft just allows a manufacturer like Lenovo to drop whatever the frick code they want into the middle of the BIOS, into extra storage space into the BIOS, and then call that from the operating system. Deliberately trying to make basically Microsoft, with Microsoft's help, Lenovo has delivered BIOS level, UEFI level malware to consumers.
Why did they even go to UFEI? Like, they had just made it to where BIOS.
Well, UEFI is very important. For instance, the 2 terabyte limit. Traditional BIOSes prior to UEFI can't support a single volume larger than 2 terabytes. Yes, you could have a 6 terabyte or 8 terabyte drive and divide it up into partitions, but that's about it. Excuse me, it's just the boot issue, rather. You could still, if you used GPT, you could still get larger partitions, but booting to them, I believe, is the issue. Yeah, that's the issue, booting. So, so I want to be accurate about that. There's little details, but there's other advantages to UEFI. I mean, there's a lot of advantages to UEFI, but none of them have to do with secure boot, and none of them required that Microsoft put that in there and create the difficulties that you see. The red screen is really annoying. That's actually the first time that I've heard
Yeah, it's just the Surface that does that, and being a Microsoft product, they don't expect anything other than Windows to be on it. Although, from what I've heard, Ubuntu runs really nicely on it with the touch interface and all.
Yeah, Ubuntu didn't Ubuntu put out their first tablet?
Yeah, they came out with a tablet this weekend, actually.
Yeah.
A tablet desktop setup that you can buy.
I thought that was interesting because that requires.
Who came out with the tablet?
Interface.
Ubuntu came out with a tablet desktop.
So they're selling hardware now?
Yeah. Well, they've been with they had the Ubuntu Touch phone or whatever it was.
Well, I do want to praise Microsoft for that, though. The fact that they brought hardware kind of back to the, for the PC realm. Apple has always done it with, cool hardware with the, out the gate and all that. But Microsoft's been, hadn't really gone into
what Glenn's saying.
What?
Has anybody seen what Glenn's saying?
Yeah, I was about to say that before Michael went off on the
So, okay, yeah, go ahead and do Glenn. He's more important.
So he was saying he resolved the issue. The machine had file system corruption, so that's what he was running into there, which that does make sense. He can't do a refresh. Because you need to use the user password. So his final choice is a full reset. Glenn, I'd actually be interested to know if you try out KonBoot on that, if that lets you just log in, because that's what KonBoot's made to do. So, I need to change that to something else.
I want to congratulate Brantley, particularly this morning, and our team for Crypto Prevent another successful round of testing this weekend. I was very impressed with having some code delivered to fix a problem from him that required no further updates. That just kind of worked. Very nice.
Yeah, hopefully we can do it. You can't try KonBoot because it won't let you boot from UFDI. That sucks. Dang, that really does suck.
Yeah, sorry, Glenn. What else?
Here's the Ubuntu tablet link, if anyone was interested in that.
Yeah, my green screen. Sorry, Glenn. Yeah, I still haven't put that up since they redid the ceiling. I'll try to do it right now. Let me put on some pants, though.
He uses it for his blanket at night, it looks like.
Yeah.
So another interesting article. There's a malware museum now, so you can look at all the. It's an online archive of computer viruses of yore, so you can look at old viruses and reminisce about them.
This is the same one that I was mentioning about the old DOS-based ones, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
And Michael, was one of the other Raspberry Pi alternatives the Odroid C0?
Yeah, in fact, I was specifically looking at those. They seemed like they were the best ones to offer a lot more power in a similar form factor.
Yeah, so that is this one, and it has 4K support and gigabyte LAN and USB 3. And a 64-bit ARM processor, which you would have no use for. Oh, they only got USB 2, sorry. Not USB 3. And we don't use Google Hangouts much anymore, but apparently they're moving to peer-to-peer connections to try to improve quality and speed. Because, yeah, that's going to help going straight to the other person instead of using Microsoft super fast servers as an intermediary. It will be interesting if they're going to hide the IPs, which is mentioned in the bottom of that article, because Skype was originally using P2P connections, and it was just last month before they finally started hiding IP addresses by default. So, interesting stuff there. And looks like Zombie Worm and RTM Tech joined us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Where was that other thing I was going to talk about? Oh, it pulled it down here because my screen freaked out. So Zombie Worm had posted this last Friday, and it kind of got caught up in the mix. But that's an interesting project. I wish I had seen it before and was able to get in on the starter, because actually it looks like some of that hardware would have just been a good price to get. Hopefully they go through all right and do something well with it. But it's like basically it's like doing folding or Bionic with where they actually pay you for donating your cycles. You don't just get it as a, oh, my computer's faster, or I got so many blah blah blahs. So thank you for that link, Zombie Worm. Glenn also posted this about turning your Raspberry Pi into your DHCP and DNS server, which I actually do run the DNS server because I use Pi-hole on my Pi, but my Untangle box handles my DHCP and an alternate DNS server.
I'll tell you, I've reloaded my Pi several times with different operating systems now, and I've always put Pi-hole on there almost immediately, and kept, just been a must-have piece in my collection, I will say. As far as having a DHCP server, I don't know. I sort of prefer the only thing I don't like about putting the Raspberry Pi as a full gateway is its lack of high-speed connectivity potentially. I have a 200 megabit internet connection, and that's going to be potentially limited. And
you don't have to make it your gateway, though. It's just your DNS and DHCP.
Well, true. But I like to keep the functionality on the gateway, frankly. I kind of like the idea of maybe of a separate DNS server with the Pi-hole thing, but I don't know. I kind of like those functions in my gateway.
That's essentially what you're doing, is a separate DNS server. Hey, Zombie Worm. Michael, you might be.
Thanks for the link, anyway.
You might be interested in this link, where from what I understand, FM demodulation is one of the simplest signal demodulation. So if you wanted to learn how that's actually done to get started on demodulating, check that out.
Yeah, that's a good intro to the type of things we've been talking about. Also,
hey, Proctor's here just in time.
It'll also give you a little bit better understanding of what's involved in some of the more complicated projects we've mentioned. Like I went back and I looked at I was looking at the Russian weather satellite that I wanted to communicate with, and I've got to build an antenna for that. It's 148 megahertz or something like that. So I'm gonna maybe.
Glenn actually said that AM is easier, but the math is harder. That's what I'm not a big fan of, is doing all that math.
The math, yeah. Well, if anybody, well, I don't know. I want to talk to you more about the antenna building at some point, apparently, but we'll do that another day.
Hey, Proctor, I was actually thinking you would like this next link that I'm about to post. This place, hackerspaces.org, shows you all of the hackerspaces. The one I linked to is for America specifically, but they actually have ones all over the globe. So you guys over in Europe and Australia, you can check those out.
Can you post it again?
Yeah. But there's actually 2 near you, Proctor. And basically, essentially, what hackerspaces are is just a place where you can go and do hacking related stuff, not like malicious, like coding into banks or anything, but like building stuff and sharing tools and things like that. So normally a hackerspace will have things like other people that are interested in the same thing and stuff like tools that you can use, like a laser printer or a 3D printers or other tools that you can just share to do your projects and make things. So
yeah, I've heard about these. They sound pretty cool.
yeah, there's 2 near you. Michael, there's not any near you unless you want to go to New Bern or Raleigh. Looks like that's the closest to you. I'd have to go all the way to Atlanta. So, but there's like 5 in Atlanta. And Zombie Worm, you probably got a ton around you. From what I understand, Europe has been doing them much longer than the U.S. And I didn't check on yours, your area, Glenn. So I'm not sure about Australia, but that if you just take off the United States of America and just check out that page, you can actually get to the other countries and locations and stuff. So pretty cool stuff there, I thought. An interesting link.
I don't know why you keep saying New Bern's near me. I don't know why you mention these places. I don't know these cities you're talking about.
New Bern's really close to Greenville. It's an hour away.
What you're talking.
There's all the Super Bowl ads that mattered this year.
I saw some interesting ones, but I didn't. None of the ones I witnessed
Dude,
really jumped out at me.
That Audi one made me want to buy an R8, and
Oh yeah, I'm halfway to the dealership right now.
they're advertising a car that goes 205 miles an hour. Come on, how safe is that? That's this one
I was
specifically.
really disappointed though because there was no Clydesdale commercial.
Yeah.
Why? I'm not following.
Anheuser-Busch is no more. There's no point. I don't think there are Clydesdales anymore. I think they got rid of them.
No, there was a new one was just born.
What? I thought they were going to get rid of them.
You talking
No.
about horses?
We're gonna have to go to Busch Gardens for our
dude,
field trip this
what
summer.
about the puppy monkey baby? That was weird.
That was stupid. That made me not want to drink Mountain Dew ever again.
I know.
This one was pretty funny and had the white and
watched
gold
the Audi
dress.
one. I missed the Audi one. That sounds like the best one, actually.
The
Audi one
Doritos
was
had my
good.
favorite with the
what?
Doritos when they were doing the ultrasound.
I didn't see that.
Oh
one.
yeah. Was that a Bud Light commercial? Or Budweiser? Or no, was that
Doritos.
Yeah, Doritos.
was
just talking
that
about Doritos.
I can't think this morning. Was that a Super Bowl commercial?
Yes.
I saw it before the Super Bowl.
That's what I thought was during the Super Bowl.
And what was with the Pokemon commercial? I didn't.
But overall, everything was just terrible. The game was boring.
They're celebrating 20 years. Pokemon has been around for 20 years.
Oh, jeez.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I liked what Helen Mirren did, though. I'm a big fan of that little segment.
I did like that one.
Drunk driving is a concern. Yeah. It was good.
I was sitting around with a bunch of friends in Colorado, and they were all like way younger than me. And I found out one of them had like this whole collection of Pokemon cards. And I was like, dude, you collect Pokemon? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, that's so dumb. And they were like, you better be careful. Like, all of us like Pokemon. I was like, oh yeah, y'all were probably the age that it was targeted at when it came out. My bad.
They
Yeah, I'm glad I was old enough to miss that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
I only.
I was that age.
And you like Pokemon?
I mean,
Do
I
it.
did when it first came out, but I wasn't like super crazy about it.
I only watched one Pokemon movie, and that was because I lost the pulling straws when I was working in a movie theater. I had to preview that movie, and surprisingly, it didn't make me want to kill myself. At least. So.
Here's the new baby.
Glenn said the Doritos is an Aussie ad.
It was a good one.
He said the halftime show, or RTM Tech said the halftime show had the worst audio ever. I didn't even know it was on last night, honestly. I was like,
I skipped the halftime
last night.
That's just ridiculous.
No, you told me it was on when it was almost over. You're like, oh, don't remind me not to answer your mom's phone call. And I was like, why?
What if your mom's listening to this?
She was like, because she's probably going to be really upset because the Panthers are losing the Super Bowl or lost the Super Bowl. And I was like, oh,
Actually, I said
lost. She was like, yeah, the Broncos are going to beat them. I was like, awesome.
No, actually,
Broncos are in it?
No, he was like, oh, as in Denver? I was like, yes.
What? You don't remember anything. Your brain's not working right.
That's exactly what happened. I was like, the
know.
Broncos won. You were like, oh, as in Denver? Hello,
You don't know. Another interesting article, Congressional clocks have secret codes. Oh, that was pretty interesting read. So apparently all the clocks in the House and the Senate are like coded and have like different meanings to the sounds and stuff they make. And I think I think I found this. Did I find this? Did Glenn find this?
Johnny, I don't know what that Clydesdale thing is about. I had read or heard or seen or something that they were going to but you know it may have just been the ones at Busch Gardens that I was hearing about. I'm not sure. I think it was. I heard they were going to get rid of Busch Gardens for a while, but I don't know if they're.
Huh.
Because you know when InBev bought Anheuser-Busch, and all of the old ones rolled over in their graves, then like they were gonna the first they weren't gonna do anything, and then they were gonna shut a bunch of stuff down and close a bunch of stuff up, and you know to whatever waste some money.
Sad.
But and Busch Gardens was like a big loss for them too, so. And it is sad, but hopefully they won't do all that.
Hopefully they won't.
Michael, what did you?
Clydesdale horses are like
I'm
known
looking
for Budweiser.
Okay, so in the UK they brought.
Well, so is American, like the American, whatever, I don't know, of crappy beers. So, it's the go-to beer for the typical American person, you know, for generations, and it's now owned by a foreign entity, something that the owners of Anheuser-Busch had said that they would never, ever, 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 ever do.
Until now.
Yeah, and they just did it. So it was like a big slap in the face to a whole lot of people. And that's just why it kind of surprises me. Anyway. I don't like Budweiser. I think it's ass. So it never bothered me at all. But
My grandfather drank it.
Alcohol is ass.
I've drank enough of it in my day.
well, see, I did too, and that was back in the day when I was a bartender and you were a drinker.
Yes.
Or actually, I was a drinker too.
I was getting there to say.
I could never apologize enough for the time. It was last call, and you were being too slow, and I had just poured you a fresh pint, and I snatched it from you and chugged it.
And it's funny because, last call usually means you've got a minute or two to finish your drink. John's like, nope, you're too late. I said
one last call, whatever it was like, it was like.
I can't remember it. I can't remember. That was a long time ago.
Oh, it's 2:30. That's what it is. It's 2:30.
Oh,
you have to take everything out. Yeah, you have to have everything in the trash or down the drain by 2:30.
Not like I got mad about it or anything. I thought it was funny.
No, I felt
bad. More attention to the time too. I might have got mad for a little bit. I don't remember. That was a long time.
I think you did. I was because I was schooling you on chugging a beer with your beer. At least I didn't charge you for it.
Yeah.
So Skype actually has some backdoor malware. Ow, puppy! Stop! No, you're not going out. Not until we're done with the show. You scraped my leg. So Skype has a backdoor malware targeting it, which actually records conversations. So if you're using Skype, be wary. And only last link I have is this one about some dead guy wrote a code and the FBI nor the internet can figure out what it means.
Hey, the Skype thing actually just generally disturbs me. And it bothers me that Skype runs. I actually have IFEOs on my machine created so that Skype can't run. It would probably be interesting. I never wanted to get into the tweak thing much, ever, even with D7. I never wanted to get into the tweak thing much, but it's getting to the point where with all the Windows 10 things, whether you're running it or not, are going to be or what, whether you like it or not. It seems to me that there are probably a couple of, there's definitely a way that, with the features that I'm adding to kill them all, for example, and the ability to prevent programs from running, right? Well, that's already there, so now one can do that, once I put the feature up. But the point is that and though I never want to get into the tweaks thing, I've always put some there because it was always kind of helpful to have some that were you just do, that aren't, they're common enough that most people should want to do them, so it should be a pre-configured default. And would it not be bad? Would it be bad or not bad to include something like that in an app like Kill 'Em All that's going to go out, at least the premium version, to people?
Funk Muffin says that they have Skype running in the background. Is that a bad thing? It's honestly, I don't think it's a bad thing having Skype running. It's just that you want to be careful because apparently they have a malware out there that's recording conversations, and if you don't have your IP hidden, whoever you're talking to can find out your IP address and do malicious things.
They only recently hid the IPs, and the thing is that for me, I'm actually pretty tolerant about the apps that run on my system, and I'm pretty tolerant about the information that I provide as far as tracking and preferences of internet behaviors or whatever. I'm pretty lenient on a lot of that stuff. I pay attention to it, but I let a lot of it slide because I don't mind getting an ad every once in a while that's actually relevant to what I'm looking for. Maybe it will help me, but the kind of gist of it is that when something is there that I don't want at all, I didn't install it. You know, when it's a program on my system, I didn't install it. It's always been crap, and now it's like part of the OS or something. What? Hang on a minute.
Well,
You know, so I'm just like, well, you disable it, you turn it off or whatever, it's still kind of run. It's still got processes, and I'm like, why is that? I don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I don't like either. And that's one of the tweaks that a lot of people do is uninstall a crap ton of default apps that Microsoft.
yeah.
I don't need
that's
to.
a
I don't
super
need
common
to
thing. Luckily, it's
uninstall
so
them
easy
necessarily. Hard drive space
Luckily, that's easy, at least.
isn't that expensive. I don't really need to uninstall them necessarily. I'm
No,
not
but
just.
I don't
I'm not
personally
gonna
like
worry
having
about
them
all the
when they're
junk
not.
on there, and I
That's the
don't care if
thing, junk.
Microsoft wants to update it, or if Microsoft wants to use a library or something that's included perhaps in a separate location that was with that app for some other purpose. But which the app would have to be installed for or whatever. But what I have a problem with is extra processes running on my system for no reason, you know, when they contain these potential security issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're broadening your surface.
Yeah, it's broadening attack surface, and I think that's the most relevant thing. I was watching a video about the Windows Update attack surface, which is incredibly large to begin with, anyway. It creates the potential for more problems, and instead of having a more reliable system by sticking all these, how many apps are included with Windows 10? I can't even remember, but there's like dozens, and it's a little bit frustrating that all that is kind of just barfed onto us. Without any.
Especially when Microsoft comes out with statements like, "Oh, we had 1,000 million people use Windows."
Or all of our users love the Skype app because every Windows 10 user has it. Oh, well, because maybe it's forced on them. I mean,
no, the speech that they gave where they were giving off numbers and so they're basically tracking who is using these apps as well, and that's kind of scary.
Privacy, I'm obviously not a big fan of that, and so so another person out there, I don't remember the specifics of this, but they got Windows Enterprise, and Microsoft has, there's been a lot of articles about, you can turn off telemetry, you can turn off tracking, yada 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 yada. We're giving you the control, especially to enterprises, maybe not to home users, but we're going to give it to enterprises to do that. And as it turns out, the dude sets it up, and turns off everything, and then logs connections on his gateway, and basically 40 times over the course of an hour, it's contacting Microsoft and sending data to them. Something like a dozen or something like two dozen servers. It's contacting a Microsoft. Tons of times. I don't know. I mean, what that traffic is, and he didn't analyze it in huge detail as I recall, but. It's a problem, and it makes me wonder. Can you trust, even as a business, can you trust Microsoft? I don't know.
Funk Muffin, what do you mean wait to update before using certain service again? I'm confused on that. Glenn says they disable a lot of internet-facing applications due to their dribbling downloads, especially many with live tile in Windows 8, 8.1, and 10. Yeah, and that is kind of interesting too, like all the news and weather things that they automatically put up there.
It's a lot of traffic.
Yeah. And he has people in Australia that have 2 gig and 4 gig accounts where I'm assuming their data gets capped at that, which, that would suck. Jeez, that's like using cell phone data plans. My first monthly report for this year came out, and I had 651 gigs of data traffic.
Wow.
On a single server.
Wow.
I would die if there was a cap limit. That's crazy. If I'm at home, it should be unlimited.
No argument from me on that point, but obviously that's not the way the world currently works.
It is the way the world currently works. It's not the way
Without
it's
data
going.
caps? What?
Yeah. Without data caps is how the world currently works. It's going away. Like yours, doesn't yours have a data cap limit on it?
You know, I don't know. I haven't seen it since that one time I got a partial warning about getting close to exceeding it. But
Comcast has implemented data caps in certain areas.
It's coming. It's a coming when they start offering, services and things,
Yeah.
The more services they offer or whatever they try to expand to, the more you're going to see these things.
get back. By the way, these people already own the bandwidth. Somebody using additional bandwidth does not cost them any additional money. These companies. And an argument that the bandwidth doesn't exist is bullshit because they spend billions of dollars rolling out the infrastructure to accommodate that. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say there's no bandwidth or limited bandwidth and then expand your bandwidth. I don't know. It's just you didn't talk about this, and this is actually more important. I think more relevant. It's the net neutrality argument. So basically, Verizon.
What it boils down to.
Verizon on their phones now allows you to stream their video streaming, movie streaming, whatever services without it affecting your data cap, but not the case for Netflix. So Verizon is basically taking any Netflix customer saying, "Oh, your bandwidth's going to prevent you from doing that. Why don't you move to our video streaming service?" They're poaching customers basically, and using their data cap as a point of leverage to do that. And it's exactly the problem that people have been talking about with network neutrality. And you're going to start to see this. They're going to be closed doors on networks, and they're only going to allow you access to stuff at least freely if they condone the type of traffic that's being transmitted. It's a super scary thing because it's literally taking what's free and open about the internet, the beauty of the internet, and it's putting a price tag on whether or not you can choose to access certain services. It's horrible.
Yep. Glenn, I understand your trouble with Australia and internet service provider.
Hey, just to point out, Mark Zuckerberg's dream of being an ISP, a free ISP for India and ultimately the world, is all about that too, Michael. It's gonna be a crappy. I mean, if anyone's read about this, it's gonna be like a crappy, like dial-up quality almost, and it's like better, but crappy, really crappy, and like my mom's DSL was or something. But North State, Proctor. It's going to be like that, and and they're going to give it to all the poor people, but they're going to control how much they can access, and they're going to control what they can access. Like they're going to essentially like shut down. I mean, they're parts of like the information, the places they can go, and
go Google Plus for them.
It's
unless you're using Facebook to access it.
Yeah. Well, and see, they'll do the same thing like with the bandwidth thing, like with what Verizon's doing now.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, okay, you can go to Google Plus, but all of a sudden our free ISP is not free anymore. It's free, however, if you go to Facebook.
Yeah.
Basically is what it's going to do, is what's going to happen there. So
well, that was what they were planning before the net neutrality stuff became such a big argument here. Was they were like, it's going to be buy internet on packages. So if you do gaming, you have to buy a gaming package. So if you want your gaming traffic to go, you have to be that on that package. If you look at a lot of news sites, you have to buy like the news package. So it'd basically be like you have to a la carte your
So they're turning
Cable TV
they're
for the
turning
internet.
cable TV
Yeah.
for the internet, exactly,
Exactly.
with channels and
So if you do a lot of sports,
pay-per-view.
you got to buy the sports package. If you watch movies, you got to buy the entertainment package.
Look, nobody's going to
They had
tolerate
it all.
that.
So
Nobody's gonna
Television
tolerate
has evolved, and the internet is going to devolve.
Yeah.
Tolerate. There's nothing we can do. They can.
Yeah. What are we gonna do? We're just gonna go back to dial-up where we can connect to BBS servers.
I actually enjoyed those days.
Yeah,
I
but
did-
compared to
I did
now,
too.
you're ready.
I don't know if I
You're
can go
ready to
back
cut
now.
your cable cord and go back.
Think about if no, actually I'm not, but I mean think about if it was sort of forced and there were issues like that in India and Facebook, ISP and all this crap, right? So what if they had their limited access through the internet, and although the information is there and the information is limited, what if then people who got that information could then catalog it and then still distribute it to each other locally through community-based ISPs? I mean, that would kind of defeat a lot of the purpose of the internet, but and the flow of information. But at the same time, it would at least bring back some community.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't know where I was going with that.
there's always going to be two. Now, they're going to be a commercialized section, but I like what Glenn's mentioning. Could we create a dark net to circumvent some of this? Now, it would obviously require that the sites we visit to be present on the dark net and not otherwise. But
I mean, it's still like Netflix is already blocking VPNs right now, so it comes down to the same.
yeah, but not very successfully, from what I understand.
Your ISP is just going to block that type of traffic, and if it can't read it, it's not going to allow it. So encryption out the door as well. Like the only way that we'll get around it is by
Take naps now. No sleeping.
uploading our own.
Say what?
Can't go sleeping back
Hey,
there.
you can mute Proctor.
I'll have those fingers for 1 second.
Proctor.
Thank you. Like the only way we're going to get around it is by laying our own cable or throwing up a satellite in the.
Hey, listen,
air.
I'm okay with.
And even then, you may have guns to deal with at that point. By the time you're ready to do that, and by the time this day of the world has come to that, it may not be
listen.
Yeah.
But
Stuff
that's
like
what I want to
that can be
test. Is it feasible to even accomplish? Let's pool our money. Let's invest in our own fiber and let's get a backbone to the internet.
Have fun laying all them cables, Michael.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean,
Just,
I'm on the East
just
Coast,
the
so hopefully I don't
regulations
have to go too far.
alone. Just the regulations alone to lay cable is outlandishly expensive. Plus, we would be blocked by all of the lobbying of anybody else that already has cable laid. We would have to go with like the Google style, throwing a balloon up in the air and broadcasting Wi-Fi or.
Well, that's fine. Millimeter wave, with balloons, sure.
and then you'll have the people in their backyard with their guns and their
shooting down the
and
balloons.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Well,
Actually, it'd take a lot of shots.
Yeah, it's a little harder to reach the stratosphere though. But by then lasers. Yeah, that would probably. I mean, really, you'd be still looking at the government because the government owns the stratosphere, so they would be shooting down your.
Well, they probably would, but there would also just be people in their backyards doing it because they're like, "Get off my lawn," my airspace. Even though it was
what screenies? What is Glenn talking about?
What?
What is Glenn talking about? What is the greenies?
I don't know. The little.
See, technically, you should own the space from here to everywhere in front of you, above you.
Well, that's
at least until you get the outer,
So what are these greenies? Environmentalists. Tree huggers. Hippies. Yeah.
If we have too many internet balloons, we'll block the sun.
I thought he was talking about the little green men.
Internet in the
I
States.
wasn't sure if he was talking about aliens or not.
I was thinking like the little toy soldiers, the plastic soldiers. We have to worry about those greenies.
Oh.
Jeez, when did you grow up?
Army men. Wow.
Yeah. My brother
Army men were
was.
awesome.
We used to play. Outside, as I recall, we used to dig trenches and stick these little action figures in them, and like they were having battles, and it was all outside in the rain and dirt. And I never see kids doing that these days, playing in mud anymore.
We used to set them on fire until they made that little pew pew.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
To make that
Yep.
sound,
I'm the
I
reason.
missed it.
I'm the reason global warming exists.
The network through the neutral wire in the grid? What? RTM, elaborate, please.
We'll need to work out that Tesla stuff and just transmitting information through the ground without wires.
Yeah. What about we have talked about the light flashing stuff in the past. I forget what that's called, but I don't know. Indoors, that's an option. We still need to get the internet traffic to us without wires, so yeah, it's got to be millimeter wave. That's the only solution, I think.
Well, if we get enough USPRs, we can make our own cell data network. So we'll have free 3G or 4G if we want to do LTE stuff. And it only costs $800 to get a USPR.
$800? You got a quote on that?
Yeah. That's like the step above the hack RF.
Yeah, let's see. Where did you is in here? Do they quote that price?
Hold on, I got it. The B200 is probably what we would want. That's without the case, though. You know you would want the case. The BladeRF will do the 3G one, I think.
Okay, so they're oh, I like this. I like this. Thank you for sharing, as usual.
The BladeRF is a little bit cheaper, but it will do the 3G setup at least. Like you can set up your own 3G tower and have free phone calls, text messages, and data. And it's all going through the Asterix PBX box.
Thank you, foolish Brantley.
But both of those do full duplex, which is why they can do that.
Yeah, I see that.
Hack RF only does half duplex. What, Johnny?
I think he means thank you, Bradley.
Yeah, that is what he meant. Or we can just figure out telepathy, and do the internet the real way.
The real.
And mind meld everybody. No, I don't know. I would want to be mind melded with Michael.
Oh, it's so much fun. You'll see what goes on up there.
There are some people's minds I just don't want to read.
Yeah.
I don't think,
Some things are meant to stay within your head.
I think we already know way too much.
I was born with holes in my head, and so some of it just keeps pouring out. My apologies for that.
RTM Tech says there's some frequencies available for hams and experimenters. If everybody started using it, the government would sell the band.
Yeah, and yeah, that's sad.
That article you posted about cracking the dead man's code is a really interesting article and a little bit humorous.
I haven't read it yet.
Police immediately suspected foul play. The field was a popular place to dump bodies. And a post-mortal disposal seemed the only logical explanation. Post-murder.
Yeah, that's that. It looked like a really interesting article.
It's like a real X-file.
I was interested in watching that video that they had on there too.
The code almost looks like language in some parts.
I didn't read it.
Thanks, RTM Tech. That's a good some drink from the fountain of knowledge. Others just gargle. I like that. Thanks for sharing.
Why did you repost that, Johnny? That was the wrong link. If that was what you were looking for.
No, actually, that was the right link. Saved by the phone call.
Yeah. Can't answer it.
Hello, JT. This is Johnny. How can I help?
That was the link. That was the Odroid that I posted earlier, not the. Where is the one I posted about the dead guy?
Oh, I got it right here.
Yeah, post that one again.
It originally happened in 1999, and the police didn't even release the fact that they found the notes with the codes to the family.
Wow.
And police turned to the FBI to help break it, and they weren't able to. And then they posted it publicly on the internet, trying to get help to decode it.
And no one has yet?
No one has decoded it. It's let me find this.
It's like that Reddit subreddit that no one can crack the code on.
What do you mean, why'd I repost the link?
You
Why'd you
reposted the link
post
to the
that
Odroid.
Odroid link?
I just saw it.
I was wondering the same thing, RTM Tech.
Yeah, right. Watson, I still remember that.
Are you saying you just saw that article, Johnny?
Yes.
Okay, because I had talked about it earlier.
Well, one of my friends shared it on Google Plus.
Oh, well, they must be watching the show and having actually paid attention when I was talking.
Actually, they shared it at 7 a.m.
Oh, this is okay. Wait. This isn't the. I thought you were talking about. I didn't actually go to the link earlier that you sent, Brantley, but this is the Pi 0 alternative. So this is the lower power version, but it's still, of course, better than the Pi 0.
Oh no, that's the one Johnny posted. The one I posted was the better one.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So somebody was actually paying attention, and it wasn't you.
I think you know her in a little bit of an apology for that because this is a different article.
I'm sorry. My article was still better because it was about the same thing, only more powerful.
What a fucking dick. Excuse my language.
Language.
I know.
I made it worthwhile.
Sorry, I did give everybody a warning this morning. I will try my hardest to be in the best of moods. I only got like 1 hour's sleep last night. I'm trying to be good.
It's okay. We forgive you.
He just pushes me over the edge sometimes. He has a way with words. I'm sorry, I'll make you feel good about yourself, and then I'll kick you down.
Ouch.
That's what he does.
Oh. And yes, we thought Michael was not.
Sorry, RTM Tech. I'm sorry. Please note this is not really Johnny. This is the robot her. This is the fake one.
Yes, we've downloaded Johnny's consciousness and uploaded into a virtual body.
Maybe you didn't scratch your face last night. Maybe it was the werewolf.
Oh, yeah, that's the first sign of werewolf. Is
Didn't see my
bitchiness.
face, Michael. I think
Bitchiness
it
is.
looks terrible.
What? Your face? What's wrong with your face?
I scratched at it.
Oh. Yeah. Well, have you turned yet? You might want to take some precautionary steps.
No, no.
Glenn says the code looks like it's MS serial numbers and Phillips parts codes.
Maybe it's instructions on how to make something.
Yeah. No, I was thinking
It's a
if I ever just randomly kill myself, I'll just make a weird note to leave alongside of it. Like my suicide note will just be like cryptographic squiggly lines and shit, and people will wonder about it for ages to come.
About that link. Is that something that was already posted? Just so I'm done posting stuff.
Oh, that looks worse. What the hell? I thought that would look better. What the hell? Oh, that looks like crap. Well, that's not bad, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, look, there's another one.
Yeah, my link was about the Odroid C2.
Well, there you go.
Ooh, all these links. So let me get this right, Brantley. You would think I could have made an okay choice by purchasing the Odroid C2?
No.
That's all over Google Plus today. And
Why is this so all over Google? This isn't new, right?
I think it's a new version of it.
Is it?
So you wouldn't have been right picking the Odroid C1.
I see everybody posting it.
Whoa.
What?
This is I thought the old Odroid I looked at didn't have required a different didn't require micro. Oh yeah, no, this one's the same way. Oh no, it does. Wait.
That one's better than whatever you were looking at. So then, yes, I
Hey
still.
guys, don't forget Valentine's Day is next week. You can thank me later.
Okay.
Also, it's also the first time my brother's gonna celebrate his birthday.
Did he quit his religion?
He did.
Oh, good job. What is he gonna do when they come to his door?
Tell them he retired.
Sorry, been there, done that. I'm good, thanks.
It's only been 43 years. He just kept
Wow.
Yeah, I like this Odroid C2. I'm gonna get one.
First time celebrating his birthday and Valentine's Day in the same day. So my mom used it's a good thing his birthday is on Valentine's Day because the rest of the world will celebrate it and he won't. Now he is celebrating it.
Oh, that reminds me, I got to dig up a documentary on the St. Valentine's Day massacre for Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. All right, Brantley. So the cool.
I watch it every year.
So Brantley, one of the big improvements in this the Odroid C2 here is the fact that it can both get power. Well, it can get power either from a DC input or through the micro USB. The only problem is from the micro USB connection is the 500 milliamp power is it would exceed that when using its full power of this device, and so you would effectively, I think, need to constrain its performance if you were going to be using it in that manner. But you don't have to, of course. You can unleash its full power by providing the appropriate juice through the DC, the little mini DC jack. But that's interesting. I was wondering how they were gonna, and that was the big issue with some of the alternatives that I've seen. They They were too powerful. In other words, they exceeded the threshold of being able to be powered reasonably flexible, and flexibly like the Pi 2. So I'm tempted to get this. And what are they saying the price is? I'm not seeing a price here. What's the price? Brantley, do you remember the price for these things?
$40.
40 still? Okay, so wow, same price.
Check this one out. It's a secure flash drive sized full power of the original Pi, all in the size of a flash drive. USB Armory. And that one does run off of just
Well, yeah, I mean, again, but there's not enough power and flexibility in that. I was not very terribly happy with the performance of the original Pi from what I've seen in comparison to the Pi 2. I would not have been a happy camper had I not gotten a Pi 2.
Oh, that was Tank RTX.
But this one actually has 800 megahertz and 512 RAM. So
yeah, it's a single core, though. You understand?
Yeah.
But
it also has trust zones so that you can lock the device to only images that you sign. So like right now, I could come over and put my own SD card in your Raspberry Pi, and you'd never know that I installed it.
And I could also stick a lock on my front door. But
good to note that Michael does not have a lock on his door. So if y'all track him down with all the clues we've given you, there is no lock on his door currently.
And here is a picture of Michael's front door.
Vicious animals. I have vicious animals.
We've blurred out some of the street numbers, but not all of them.
Just to protect his neighbors.
So I really like how RTX...
When I get broken into and raped, pillaged, and plundered, it's not going to be fun.
You will thank us.
Blame it all.
After thanking you, I will be very, very upset about my privacy.
So I just want to say that I really like how RTM Tech says that the movie he points out has some St. Valentine's Day massacres in it, plus Marilyn Monroe.
That is always a plus. I had forgotten about that movie. Thank you.
Glenn, we'll spare you the details.
See why we don't want to mind meld with Michael? He is the primary reason that the Vulcans have yet to visit us.
Oh, no more questions, Glenn. No more questions.
All right, we've gone past our hour and started off this Monday with a lot of news and information, so...
We can't end on that note.
Yeah, we can. That's a great ending. Unless anybody has any questions in our chat, Funk Muffin, RTM Tech, Shook, Glenn, Zombie Worm, anything's going on with software or tech questions?
Funk Muffin is new.
No, Funk Muffin was a name. Somebody's switching their name.
They were in last week.
Yeah, they were in last week. Yes. Listen. Good luck to. Congrats on resolving the issue with the PC. Was that Glenn or was that RTM Tech? I forget.
Oh, by the way, anybody that was watching.
He
I
said
can't
he's
scroll.
new. Or Funk Muffin.
Yeah.
It's wrong of me.
He was in last week, but.
Oh God, that
Yeah.
connection is not good.
Anyway, anyone that was watching the show on Friday.
Well, I hope you become a regular, Funk. By the way, sorry.
We figured out what was going on with that PC that we were looking at with, I believe it was with James. he ended up having to do a refresh for Windows. It was probably just a corrupted Windows install. That's why he was
James. Okay, yeah.
getting no internet but had ping connectivity to everything. So he did a refresh, tested it, and it all worked, and he had internet again.
Yay. Well, that's good. Glad to see the issues being resolved and worked out. So what do you think, any idea on public beta of CP8?
What?
Public beta CP8 anytime soon?
I don't know. Have you tested everything?
Yes.
We still have to test the update.
Okay, we'll do that. We have to do that.
Test the white label.
Okay, let's do that today, early part of this week, and see what we can do. I'm excited about that.
Alrighty. Well, let's get to it. So, thank you everyone for joining us on this early Monday morning. We hope you have a good start to your week, and we will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. So if you have any questions or issues with any of our software, feel free to jot it down or throw it in the IRC chat. If we don't answer right then, we'll definitely answer it on the show. And thanks, special shout out to Funk Muffin, RTM Tech, Glenn, and Zombie Worm, and Shook for being in our IRC chat.
We love the company.
Yeah, anybody else that wants to join us will be here at foolishtechshow.com. You can get all the info to jump into the chat there. And we will see y'all all tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks again, guys.
Later.
Bye, Internet.